One Piece is one of, if not the best show of all time. However, like everything else in the world, it has its ups and downs. I enjoyed every single One Piece arc that I've watched so far, but there were some that were dragged on for way too long in my opinion. For me, Skypiea is the first. I actually enjoyed Skypiea a lot. Like, just as an arc, I really liked it, but there were a lot of things that I did not like, and there were definitely some spots that needed a bit better pacing. So even though I liked it, I do see other people's point of views, and it makes sense why so many people dislike Skypiea or even skip it altogether, although that does seem kind of crazy to me, skipping an entire arc, especially on your first watch through, because personally I don't think you should skip a single episode of One Piece, and especially not the entire Skypiea arc, because there's so much world building happening throughout that arc. But that's not the purpose of this video. And the second arc that I thought was very boring was Long Ring, Long Land. This is a very common one in the One Piece fandom, and it's really just unfortunate that it's right after Skypiea, so it's like there's kind of two boring arcs in a row. But once again, I can't say I agree with everyone else that this arc is skippable. Is it worse than other arcs like Alabasta? Yes, but you can't expect every arc of a show to be better than the ones before it. And that's not even saying a show has to constantly improve. That's not it at all. And at the end of the day, everything is subjective. It's up to people's opinions what they think is a good arc. I mean, you can go statistical with it, but at the end of the day, it's just how much you personally enjoyed it. Long Ring, Long Land wasn't completely worthless. It had its good moments. One of my favorite moments is Zoro and Sanji fighting together. It had a very powerful message and really increased Zoro and Sanji's bond a lot. Sure, they still fight like siblings, so that's already ingrained into their character. That's not something that's gonna disappear, and this fight was really good for them. Another moment is this speech from Zoro after Chopper got stolen away.
Quit your belly aching, Chopper. It's disgraceful.
Zoro?
You made the choice to set sail as a pirate. Only you. And now you have to live with the consequences of that decision. We agreed to the terms of this game. You, Usopp, and everyone else did the best they could. Not one pirate worth his salt is gonna sympathize with those tears. A man would suck it up and quietly watch the rest of this game.
I love that speech, and it seems like every arc Zoro has some sort of motivational speech to give to the group, and even though he is horrible, I mean horrible with directions, I think Zoro is actually the wisest person in the Straw Hat crew, especially in the sense of pirates and being pirates and all of that, because a lot of these guys like Nami, Sanji, Luffy, Usopp, this is their first rodeo in the whole pirate world. The only other person with pirate experience you can say is Robin at the moment, because other people hadn't joined the crew at this point. But Zoro being smart makes sense. He's written to be this cool, stoic guy. So all in all, Long Ring, Long Land wasn't a complete waste of an arc. Yes, it wasn't the best, and it may seem like it was a waste compared to the better arcs in the series, but in reality, it wasn't even that bad. Now let's get to what is, in my opinion, the worst arc in the show, at least that I've seen so far, and that's Fishman Island. And that's what this video is all about. The title, thumbnail, you guys know, that's why you're here, that's why you clicked on the video, and we're gonna be deep diving into Fishman Island in this video, and why it is the worst arc, worse than Skypiea, worse than Long Ring, Long Land. And if you want to see my full breakdown of Skypiea and the other arcs in a future video, just let me know in the comments. I can make that happen. But let's get into one of the main things that is the worst thing to have ever been written as a major plot point in One Piece: Sanji and nosebleeds. Sanji's known as this character that's a pervert. He likes women. He can't talk to women. Gets hard eyes whenever he speaks to Nami and Robin. You get it. You get the point. And this is low-key one of my least favorite character personalities in One Piece, because we see this with several different characters. I mean, the llama, what is that called? Oh, camel. The camel in Alabasta was just like Sanji, and there's always randomly just other guys similar to Sanji thrown into the mix. I just don't like this. I think this is like a dumb point almost. There's no time where I think this is funny. But either way, Sanji and his nosebleeds became a major plot point in the Fishman Island arc, and I don't understand how this was written in here. I just don't get it. Before we ever get to Fishman Island, he flies out of the boat from a stream of blood through his nose. Ugh. I know you guys are already typing comments, right? Oh, we spent 2 years on an island with a bunch of dudes. Yes, I know that. I don't think that should be written as much into the story as it was in Fishman Island, and I don't know that you can really argue, because until the final fight scene against Hordy Jones's army, Sanji was just out of the loop. He was out of the mix. He wasn't there to do anything. Let's go back to when we first get to Fishman Island again. They're at the Mermaid Cafe, and Sanji ends up losing a lot of blood. Now we have all these episodes we're running around because Sanji can't get blood, none of the fishmen will give him blood, and this is where I really didn't like this whole nosebleed thing, because we're introduced to this deep backstory between fishmen and humans, and discrimination, slavery, all of this bad stuff, and we're getting introduced to this backstory because Sanji needs a blood transplant because he couldn't contain himself around some mermaids. You catch my drift here? We go from Sanji passing out to mermaid eye candy to a backstory of discrimination and slavery. What? Now, in my opinion, that's where this nosebleed thing got taken a little bit too far. I could talk about Sanji's nosebleeds all day, but to wrap up this thought about Sanji and Fishman Island, I just want to say that is probably what ruined a lot of Fishman Island for me. I think it would have been a much better arc without the whole Sanji nosebleed thing. But there were also things that made this arc bad, and that's why it's still lower than other arcs. The second thing is just the villain was not that terrifying. This is the first arc after the time skip. Everybody's supposed to be stronger, faster, learned haki, all of this stuff. And the villain we're fighting is Hordy Jones. The crew already beat a fishman in the 35th episode of the series. They do say that Hordy's stronger than Arlong, but really, how much stronger can he be? He knows no types of haki, no devil fruit powers. And in order to make this seem like even more of an intense fight, they gotta make up some sort of pill drug that we never see again after Fishman Island to enhance all these fishmen and make them stronger. I think Fishman Island had a great plot line, like bringing up all the backstories between fishmen and humans, the fishmen wanting to kill all the humans. I just think we needed a stronger villain, that's all. And if you think about how much they've been training for 2 years, it makes sense. Because in order to make this an even close fight at all, Luffy has to end up in the water, so Hordy has the advantage. But we already saw Hordy get sliced up by Zoro in the water already. So at this point, we know he's all drugged up, but we also know the limits of Hordy's strengths. He's not that strong. I feel like I'm just ranting, but that is the harsh truth. Those are really the two main things that I believe make Fishman Island the worst arc. And my favorite thing about this was probably the backstory of the fishmen and the humans. The backstories and the very strong senses of prejudice are what saved this arc and made this arc really enjoyable. It does a great job further characterizing Jinbei, the very underwhelming and non-threatening villains, as well as the gags like Sanji, are what really took this arc downhill. Let me know what you think about Fishman Island in the comments, and maybe I'm completely wrong with my thoughts.